Do you want to know the real reason Gwen Stefani and her former husband got divorced? And more importantly, what does that mean as far as how to have a parenting relationship with an ex, especially if that person happens to be a narcissist? How do you have a winning parenting plan and still keep peace with your ex? I'm breaking all of that down right here in this video. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Rebecca Zung. I am an attorney. I am an author. I am a narcissist negotiation expert, and I help you shift the dynamic with narcissists in your life. If you're ready to do that, make sure you hit subscribe and hit that notification bell. All right, let's talk about Gwen Stefani and Gavin Rossdale first, and then I'm going to talk about what does that mean as far as a parenting plan, and I'm going to actually break down for you the things that you must have in a parenting plan and the things that I think that you should have, like you might want to have in a parenting plan. So make sure you watch till the end so you can get all of the details that you need. All right, so let's talk about the real reason that Gwen Stefani and Gavin Rossdale divorced. Well, okay, so they divorced in 2015 after 13 years of marriage. They had gotten married in 2002, but before that, they had dated for like 6 or 7 years. They had been together almost 20 years at the time that they got divorced. They had 3 sons at the time. Well, they still have 3 sons together, but they had 3 sons at the time of their divorce as well. And I guess, she found out that he was, having an affair with the nanny, so cliche, Gavin. Anyway, she found out he's having an affair with the nanny, and apparently it had been going on for a while. She was in her 20s. And I guess, the bright side is he didn't have a baby with the nanny like Arnold did. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, so she finds out that he was cheating, and that was really, the straw that broke the camel's back, because apparently she'd also, kind of endured several other things in their marriage. First of all, she found out that he had had an affair with Courtney Love early on in the marriage. And she also found out a couple years into the marriage that he had had a child with someone else. Now, I think that child had been conceived like before they got married, but still it was like there's this like child that pops up, and it's a lot to handle and swallow. And she did it. She soldiered on. She kept going. But here's the thing I talk about a lot, which is there are what I call 3 deadly sins of marriage, the 3 A's, which are abuse, addiction, and adultery. And for sure, they had one of them, which is the adultery piece. And the reason why I say that those are the 3 deadly sins of marriage is that because those are the things that are really like the foundation of a relationship. You got to have a good foundation. If you don't have a good foundation, then the whole building falls down, right? And same thing with a relationship. You've got to have a good foundation. Otherwise, the whole thing comes crashing down. So she finds out that he's cheating. He had cheated several times before. Now he's cheating with the 20-something-year-old nanny who's living in their house. She finds out it had been going on pretty much almost the whole time the nanny had been working for them, which I think was like 3 years or something like that. So, here's this person that she was not only, trusting to have in her home, but trusting to take care of her children, and, probably had her own relationship with, and probably thought that she had a good relationship with. And she finds out that, here she is having a relationship with her husband. So not good, not good. And by the way, I do have a whole video on the 3 deadly sins of marriage, the 3 A's: abuse, addiction, adultery. You can definitely check that out if you want to know more all about that. So anyway, so he has this affair. They come to this mutual decision to end the marriage. And then they go their separate ways. They enter into a parenting plan. Then he comes back a few years later and decides that he wants to modify the parenting plan. So let's talk about modification of parenting plans now, shall we? In order to modify, it really depends on the laws of your state, country, or jurisdiction, but most of the time, you got to show that there's been a major change, that there's been a substantial change in circumstances, that the current parenting plan is really no longer in the children's best interests, and therefore a change should be made. So normally it has to be something more than just the kids got older or something that was foreseeable. It's got to be something usually that's unforeseeable, that was involuntary, that's permanent. Somebody maybe got injured, they're incapacitated in some way. Something happened, maybe somebody's moving away, maybe somebody got a job that's, causes them to work very different hours than they worked before. So anyway, he says he wants a different parenting plan, and she was opposing that because she really felt that she was the one who was providing a more consistent plan. And I guess, COVID changed things because he wasn't traveling as much. So he wanted to have more time with them. She, of course, is also in a new relationship with Blake Shelton. So I guess things have changed for her as well, because not only does she still spend time in California, but she also apparently spends time in Oklahoma, which is where Blake also has a home. So I guess there's some back and forth with that. And it can be challenging sometimes because, especially when somebody has cheated, you feel like you want to punish them, or that maybe they should be punished in some way, or that something should happen to them because of that. And a lot of times you see parents taking that out on the other parent because they cheated, so therefore they shouldn't have as much time with the children. Maybe it's not even necessarily that they cheated, it's maybe something else. I mean, you see that, playing out with Brad and Angelina, by the way. And I have a video on that as well if you want to check that out. But there's this extra layer of complexity now with Gwen Stefani because she's engaged to somebody new. But let's talk about how to have a winning parenting plan and some things that I think that you must have and some things that I think that you should have. Okay, so let's talk about some must haves first. I definitely think that in order to have a parenting plan where you're going to keep peace with your ex and also keep peace with yourself, you want to have it be as specific as possible. None of those namby-pamby things. Oh, we're just going to agree. Oh, as much time as what each party wants. Or no. That won't work. Especially if you're dealing with a narcissist. But even if you're not, you know what? Even if you just put a specific agreement together and neither of you use it, it's fine. There's no parenting plan fairies that are gonna come jumping out into your living room and say, hey, you guys aren't following the plan. No, that doesn't happen. Of course. I mean, you can put the whole thing in a drawer if you want to and never even look at it again. But if there's a problem, you want to be able to go back and say, you know what, this isn't working for me. Let's just use the plan. Let's just go back to what it says. All right. So let's talk about some must haves. I believe that you must have a specific schedule for weekdays, a specific schedule for weekends, a specific schedule for major holidays or holidays that matter to you, a specific schedule for school vacations and summer vacation, for sure. I would also include in the must-haves there transportation, who's driving them where, for what time sharing period. I would also include a plan for emergencies and addresses that you're going to keep each other informed as to where you live. Oh, I would also throw birthdays into there. All right. I want you to comment below must have so that I know that you know what you must have in a parenting plan. All right. So, must have. All right. So, now let's talk about what you might want to include. What you might want to include are letting each other know about your travel plans, your itineraries, what you're going to do about passports, who's going to hold the passports after the trips. You might want to include any information about medications. If, one of your children maybe has medications that they have to take, for example, ADHD or for diabetes or something like that, you might want to include that when the other parent has them, they have to give them the medication. Sometimes there's issues around that. You might want to include something around diet if one of the children is, say, gluten-free or has a shellfish allergy or something like that. Sometimes those kinds of things are good to include. Sometimes it's good to also include guidelines around introducing new romantic partners, third parties, also FaceTime or phone schedule. Also, I do recommend, if you're not getting along, some kind of app, court approved app like our Family Wizard or something like that. And also a plan for what happens if you can't agree, like maybe a parenting coordinator or something like that. So those are what I think the must-haves are, and you might want to include. And also, I think that's the real reason that Gwen and Gavin ended up to divorce. The big fat cheating with the nanny. So unoriginal, but it is what it is, right? Anyway, thanks for joining me today. If you haven't gotten my free Crush My Negotiation worksheet, get it at winmynegotiation.com. It's 15 pages and it's basically an ebook and it's totally free. So just get it and join my free private Facebook group at Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. If you like this video, give it a like, give it a share, drop me that comment, give me that must have, and also make sure that you have subscribed and hit that notification bell. I'm Rebecca Zung. Remember, today is a great day to start negotiating your best life as always. And I will see you in the next video.